Today we need to get into people saying V might have been body shamed over his new photo book and what's going on with that. We also have the label apparently, allegedly, losing over $100 billion in stock and what that's about. We need to talk about it. And then we have V talking about like taking pictures and that sort of stuff. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hate it or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. If you are not aware, V recently released his photo book called Type 1. This photo book has various pictures, but of course one of the pictures, or one of the many pictures that tend to go viral, are going to be the shirtless pictures, and V has a bunch in his photo book. The photo book is not public for anyone. It is something that you would have to buy, but a lot of people have been posting the photos online anyway. However, if you do want to get it, then make sure you get it. The photo book gets a deep dive into a lot of different looks and scenarios and different vibes that we have never really seen before. And of course, one of them is more shirtless pictures of him. Now, the shirtless pictures are, of course, within taste and are done tastefully because there are pictures that show the raw, authentic him. It's not for the sake of being sexual or whatever. I definitely want to get back into talking about these photos in a little bit, as well as some things to discuss about that. But right now, I do want to talk about how people have been shocked over what he said about photos. During an alleged interview, V talked about his feelings and his aspirations and his goals in life. This was for W Magazine, and he really gave a very interesting answer that I didn't think I would hear from him. He talked about how he doesn't have as much ambition as I think a lot of people would think that he does, and his goal are more so to be happy. He tends to try to find things that make him happy rather than having a lot of ambition of being like the first trillionaire or something. And I can definitely respect that, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people who are making a lot of money definitely are just doing it at this point to be a mark in history rather than actually needing the money. And this, of course, is very messed up because there is a limited amount of money in the world. Now, one of the things that V clarified in his question was that he feels that he is the most happy or the most authentic when he is taking photos. He tends to reveal his ambitions and all that stuff during photo shoots. This is very interesting because you'll have someone who, like JK, is extremely anti-photo shoots. He doesn't like it, he gets very anxious when he does it, but then you have V, who seems to be the most comfortable doing photo shoots, and I absolutely love that. I think that's absolutely wonderful to see such a contrast, even though they're in the same group. And I think that we can also see it in these photos that he likes to create art, and he likes to use his body to create art, and not in just in video form. He likes to do it in photos as well. And quite frankly, I wish photos still went viral as it did back in the day. I know for the BTS members they do, but in general I wish they do because I love seeing photos on my feed, and nowadays everything on Instagram is just reels. I don't even know if when V posts a photo on Instagram or whatever it is, that it's going viral outside of the community that's already following him, because I feel like photos just don't get out there as much as they used to. But either way, it's fun to see the photos that V has put out or will potentially put out. I love seeing what they do, and I think a lot of what they get to do is because of their label. So when I see a lot of hate towards their label, it doesn't always make the most sense, because I tend to think that a lot of artists wouldn't have the resources that they currently have without the label backing them. And yeah, currently V and BTS probably have enough money to do everything themselves, but they probably wouldn't want to risk their own money. They would rather risk the label's money. Now, of course, the label is getting a lot of hate, specifically for Scooter Braun and Scooter Braun taking over the label. And people have been very concerned over the younger groups in the label, and specifically Scooter Braun overseeing those younger groups. There was this rumor that was brought up, and I say rumor because I don't know the actual legitimacy of it, because even if the news articles and news sites are reporting something as fact, we still don't know what actually happens behind the scenes. And as someone who has worked in the media for a really long time, I know that they tend to exaggerate things, especially things like this, because they make for a really good story. And I've mentioned this before, things are rarely, often never this dramatic or this black and white in real life, but they tend to be in the media and in the news because it's the most interesting and the easiest to understand. Now, news have reported for a really long time that Scooter Braun had been in charge of grooming Justin Bieber when he was much younger, and accusations of people saying that Scooter has forced Justin Bieber and several other artists to engage in Israel propaganda, as well as saying that he is pushing him to do awful things with Scooter and Scooter's friends. I think this is very interesting because these are the types of conversations that are being sent to the label, and these are the types of conversations that are being sent to the label to say that Scooter is a bad person. And all I have to say to this is, unless you can actually provide actual proof of this happening, like for instance, Justin Bieber actually getting groomed by Scooter, then there cannot be any of this accusation because there's no proof. And you know who the only person who can verify the actual grooming to be would be Justin Bieber. So if you can ask Justin Bieber yourself to come out and fight against Scooter, then do so. But Justin Bieber has never done that. Like, do you know what type of headlines that would be if that was an actual thing? And also, do you know how many people would be on Justin's side if that was an actual thing? So he should not be scared of coming out about that. But the fact is, he didn't come out about it, so it probably didn't happen. Now, because of this, there are some people alleging that the label, since the start of hiring Scooter, as well as some of the controversies that have arrived since then, that the label has lost $140 billion. That is enough money to fund a literal city, maybe even an entire state. So to presume that the label has lost that much money, and also to presume it's because of the CEO, is kind of silly. I'm not sure where this number is coming from, but there's no context behind it. People are just posting a random number and saying that this is how much the label has lost. But if you actually go to the stock and then you click how much they've lost for the entirety they've been around, you'll see that they've actually gained and their stock has gone up since they started. So if you're only counting the times in which someone sells stock, but then not counting that, oh, maybe if one person sold the stock, 10 other people bought it, and then it actually grew in value, and you're just counting the losses, it could probably be $140 billion, but that's not an accurate representation of that label actually losing their stock value. And I don't know what the point of this is, because if you're going to attempt, and I'm not saying they are, but if you're going to attempt to fabricate a story in order to make your point, what is this point that is being made? Just to make the fandom feel good that they've made this impact and the label is actually losing a lot of money? Because if anyone were to look it up, it wouldn't be true. And because since it's not true, it's not like the company's actually going to go under and not exist anymore. So people are going to read this monumental loss the company allegedly had, and then they're going to see that the company is still around. So how does that help and make the community feel better about protesting or whatever? Is it just to make them feel like that their protest is doing something? Help me understand. Now, going back a little bit to the Type 1 photo book that V has put out, this has gotten a little bit of an interesting reaction. Since the photo book does have some shirtless pictures, people have been body shaming V a little bit. Now, keep in mind, obviously this was before the military, so he's definitely going to look very different now. However, of course, he was much slimmer back then. Of course, anyone who is hating on him, calling him a twink, saying all these awful things, are people who genuinely would hate on him anyway. These are not people who are within the community that like him. And then it's not like the community is saying these awful things or being disappointed in him, but these are people who wouldn't like him anyway. And it's interesting because, as I've mentioned many times in the past, anytime an artist comes into the spotlight, they'll start to get hate. And of course, since these photos have definitely gone viral, it makes sense why people are attacking him. One, they're definitely jealous that he has all this success, but because he is an easy target. He is someone, if you're having a bad day, you're going to be able to insult his body and make you feel better about your body. And I definitely don't body shame, but I definitely believe most people who are insulting him probably don't even have the body that he has, and maybe they want it. Now, people are also worried if any more pictures are going to come out, whether those are things that didn't make the cut and they're more personal things. However, we have no idea whether it will come out or not, and we have no idea if there are any really raunchy pictures that we should be scared of. Photographers, usually ones that have gotten work and are working a lot, are not going to risk their career to leak these photos. And even if these photos do get leaked, I doubt the community will get too upset. I think there'll definitely be haters who will shame him even more, but that would probably be it. There wouldn't really be much else from the actual community and the people who support him that would unfollow him or something like that. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.